had this news all morning. Donald Trump has become the third US president in history to be impeached by the House of Representatives. After a day of bitter debates, the House voted on two charges: that the president abused his power and that he had obstructed Congress. The first vote passed 230 to 197, the second 229 to 198. Both votes almost entirely along party lines, nearly all Democrats voting for the changes, Republicans against. A trial will be held in the Republican-led Senate, where a two-thirds vote will be required to remove the president from office, which is seen as nigh on impossible.
The reason we undertook this extraordinary step is because the president not only abused his office, but threatens to abuse it again, threatens to interfere again by inviting foreign interference in our election. The remedy isn't complete as long as the president is free to continue to invite foreign interference in our affairs.
As the decision was handed down, Donald Trump addressed a campaign rally in Michigan. He denounced the outcome as cheapening the impeachment process.
It threatens to destroy what our founders pledged, and in fact, their very lives to build. You are the ones interfering in America's elections. You are the ones subverting America's democracy. We did nothing wrong, nothing whatsoever. This was just an excuse. You are the ones obstructing justice. You are the ones bringing pain and suffering to our republic for your own selfish, personal, political, and partisan gain. But what they've done with this perversion, it's perversion. And when you watch some of these people get up and speak today, they don't even listen. Oh, you have violated the Constitution. Well, what has he done wrong? Well, we don't know that. They don't even have any crime. This is the first impeachment where there's no crime. I say, tell me what I did, please. Well, we don't know. You violated the Constitution. You had Turley, who's smart, Alan Dershowitz, these guys, all of them. They say there's no crime. There's no crime, right? There's no crime. I'm the first person to ever get impeached, and there's no crime. I feel guilty. You know what they call it? Impeachment light. It's impeachment light.
So that was Donald Trump holding a rally. Now, that was going on at the same time as some of the impeachment speeches. Both houses, of course, or both sides of the House, having some lengthy contributions to all of this. Let's remember where all of this comes from, of course, this Ukraine president phone call between Donald Trump and the Ukrainian president. And what he did or didn't say, we don't have a full transcript. We know that military aid was stopped by Donald Trump before the call. We know he spoke about an eagerness for Ukraine to look into the Bidens, of course, a political rival for Donald Trump, and that during that call he did urge for that investigation. Afterwards, the aid was, of course, recommenced. What the Republican Party is saying, well, look at the phone call. There's no quid pro quo out of it. There's no this for that was exchanged. Let's go live to Washington now. CNN reporter Camilla Bernal is there and joins me now. Look, it's an historic day in American politics. However you want to paint all of this, what's the reaction? Is it still along party lines?
It definitely is split along party lines, but nonetheless, it is historic. The president of the United States, Donald Trump, has been impeached by the House of Representatives. So today, during this entire debate, we heard a lot of emotion. We heard cheers, and then we also heard some booing. So, of course, it just sort of depends what party you belong to, what side of the aisle you fall in, and that is sort of the emotion that you get. Republicans frustrated and angry with the Democrats and with their arguments, and the Democrats really trying to prove a point, trying to say that if they did not impeach the president, that this could be repeated again in 2020. So both sides really fighting back and forth and sticking very united to their parties and voting along party lines.
We've had, of course, the impeachment process in the House, and I know that you say this is along party lines in terms of that vote. Is there any indication that voters have either become less or more convinced about the case, which, look, essentially it amounts to circumstantial evidence that you've got the aid was stopped, a phone call happened, an urging happened as well, aid did recommence. Is the case that's been laid out convincing people or otherwise?
Well, look, the case that is being laid out is now going to go to the Senate. So really it will be up to the Senate to decide what happens next. So it is important to point out that the president is impeached, but that does not mean that he will be removed from office. We're going to see all of this play out likely at the beginning of next year, and it's all in the hands now of Mitch McConnell. He is the one that is really going to put out the rules, really going to put out the standards and the procedures of what is going to happen at the Senate trial. The Democrats really trying to use a little bit of leverage, trying to wait to send these articles of impeachment over to the Senate. But as of now, it is looking like Mitch McConnell has the control, and it's looking like he is not going to have any witnesses at the trial. They really want this to be something that happens quickly so that they can exonerate the president and move on to other legislative things that they really care about right now.
So no witnesses. How does that play out? Who's actually going to talk? We're talking about this going over just a few days and then presumably a strong vote against?
Well, look, the questions that you're asking me are the questions for Mitch McConnell. He is really the one that's going to decide how long. So we know some details. We know that the Chief Justice, John Roberts, will be presiding over this case, and there will be some sort of presentation from the Democrats. That is why they're going to choose what we call House managers who will present the case. So we will hear arguments for and against the case. But as I mentioned, it's looking like we're not going to have any witnesses. Initially, the president wanting to have witnesses, wanting it to be a full-on trial with drama and explosion and a lot of emotions. And that is essentially what also the Democrats are asking Mitch McConnell right now for. They're asking for those witnesses. They're asking for people like Chief of Staff, Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney and John Bolton to testify. But really, Mitch McConnell is not wanting that. He's wanting it to be short and sweet and ending with the president keeping his power.
Yeah, likely to fizzle out. The key question is whether or not this is a big issue, one way or another, in the US presidential election next year. Camilla Bernal, thanks for your time.